we confuse mainly experience and engagement, especially today where EX, employee experience, becomes, you know, the trendy stuff in HR.
But thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure.
I would like to talk a bit about employee engagement and the employee experience.
Yeah.
Employee engagement, we all know that's very important for organizations. And employee experience is also a topic that has been coming up that people are focusing on more and more. I have the feeling that employee engagement and employee experience are oftentimes, you know, people use them as two words for the same thing, even though it's two different things. What's the difference between the two?
Well, I've been practicing HR for many years, so in my experience in HR, I think having a nice employee experience at work is good to have. It's not sufficient to engage people. I think we confuse mainly experience and engagement, especially today where EX, employee experience, becomes, you know, the trendy stuff in HR really, and I cannot fight against that. I think it's a nice evolution. At the same time, I think when you look at it on a more operational side of things, I think engagement is more about ownership. When you create a nice employee experience, a nice workspace, a nice experience at work, something fun, something which seems engaging at first sight, in fact, you don't create any ownership. You create a nice experience, and that's it. It's better than nothing. I'm not saying that it's not useful, but if you want to engage your people, and by the way, I don't think you can engage someone. You can create an environment in which you are going to engage or not. Engagement is another level of the experience. It's where people get ownership, they understand the purpose, they have a kind of emotional connection with leaders, with purpose, with the work they have to do. And most of the ownership is the most important thing. Getting ownership on things, doing things by yourself, developing yourself, sometimes challenging yourself as well to engage yourself in a more difficult situation. Any situation where you can grow. I'm not sure in the current employee experiences I see on the market down there, I don't see many experiences that really challenge people. And I really think by having worked in HR in many situations, in factories, in headquarters, in France, in Asia, whatever the culture, whatever the countries, I think people need purpose and they need ownership. That's the two words. It's only two words, by the way, but it means a lot inside each of them, what you can develop actually to create more engagement. So my point is to say experience, engagements are actually two sides of the same coin. Yeah. You need both. Yeah. I would say employee experience is what you can do for your people. Yeah. Engagement is what you can do by your people, through your people. Yeah. And both of them are completely brothers or sisters, and you need to allocate time and resources for each of them. Yeah. And at the end of the day, engagement, employee experience can be a goal, yeah. An objective to reach, having a nice experience at work. Yeah. Engagement is more a path. It's more a permanent path, a permanent learning path, yeah. Which never stops actually. You never reach the ultimate engagement, and above all, you cannot have an ultimate permanent top engagement of all your people. It can vary in time, you know.
So how do these two relate? Is it that experience leads to engagement? Is it the other way around? Yeah. What is this relationship?
It's more the chicken and the egg, right? I think both of them are melted together in a way that a nice experience can encourage more engagement if you create ownership in the experience. Yeah. So that's one. Yeah. At the same time, being more engaged can, let's take an example, a very highly engaged manager or leader of a team can create a nice experience at work for the teams. So in fact, it's really, you cannot say definitely A means B or B means A. You really need to address both at the same time, and to be careful in your HR strategy that you both, you work on the satisfaction, the happiness, the experience. Yeah. That's why I'm very critical about happiness at work notions today, because is happiness really creating engagement? I'm not sure.
So how important, because in your first answer you mentioned challenge. Having a challenge is important for people to be engaged. Yeah. I think if we look back to the moments that we're proudest of in our career, right. That was a challenging time, and we pulled through and we were successful, and those are the memories that stand by us. So isn't it in a way that having a bit of a challenge and then performing through it, that will lead to engagement, and employee experience, you know, kind of goes against it, because if I have a good experience, you know, I'm comfortable at work and it's all a breeze, but then I probably won't be as engaged. So
that's the point. I think if you create an experience in which you don't have the ownership on things and you don't grow yourself inside this experience, you are just an observer, I would say you are more a consumer of the experience. I like the parallel between customer experience and employee experience, because of course a good employee experience means a good customer experience at the end, for sure. At the same time, it's not the same, because you cannot just treat the employee like you treat the clients, because the employee is co-producing the experience for the clients.
So there's ownership for the employee in the employee experience.
You need an ownership, so a nice effort, a nice commitment, a nice additional energy, additional engagement on something can create maybe some, you know, some difficulty sometimes to have a work-life balance or these kind of things. Yes, that's true. At the same time, can help you grow, learn things, and also create the good experience you need at the end for the customer. And I think it's really, again, the chicken and the egg. You cannot really definitely say what will lead to the other. I think it's really a holistic view on the engagement you need to have.
It's interesting that you're saying, like, hey, the employee shouldn't be a consumer of the experience. The employee should, you know, is also
an actor.
actively involved in the experience.
I like to speak about the co-production. It's a co-production between the organization on the one side and the employees on the other side. And in the middle, you have the manager, again, the team manager, the leader of the team, who is really the key enabler of this.
So as a last question, what are the key success factors or the key contribution that the employee can make in order to make the employee experience succeed? Because we know a lot about what HR can do to make the employee experience succeed. What does the employee need to do in order to make it succeed?
Well, first, I think the employee needs to have a mindfulness, an awareness on his or her own engagement. That's what I'm trying to explain in my book and in my model, to explain that you need to really to self-assess yourself on where you are today in terms of engagement. Am I in the right company? Am I with the right leader? Am I doing the right thing? You know, all these questions you ask yourself when you are a student and you choose your future profession. But when you are in a company, you, strangely enough,
need to keep asking those
questions. You need to ask
yeah.
yourself the question, because when you ask yourself the questions, you have 50% of the answer about the experience around me. Is it the good one for me? That's the first one. The second one is to treat yourself as a co-producer again, which means you are not just sitting and waiting for managers to engage you or the HR policy to be good enough for you. You know, you need also to push yourself to be an actor of that, or maybe to challenge HR, to challenge your manager, to have a kind of adult relationship between you and your company. And experience shows that if you do that, you are more happy at work, because you are more aware of what you can do to engage yourself in this company, or maybe to leave it, by the way, and to engage in another story. And that's really my point, is sometimes we make huge mistakes in HR. I know that by experience. When you do a downsizing plan, you close a factory, or things like that happen in HR. You realize that some people have never, you know, thought about their own, you know, orientation, engagement, what they want to do in life, what's up for them. They just sit and relax. Maybe I'm exaggerating a bit. Their work, of course, but they relax in the sense that they like to be managed by others and they don't manage themselves. Engagement is really a key topic to get ownership on this as well as an employee.
It's interesting. So there's a role for HR to, on the one hand, create a good experience, and on the other hand, also create the conditions for the employee to really own that experience themselves.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I think that's a new perspective that we don't hear often. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very much.